What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So there's about 41 million Americans that are about to get some help, and I want to address where that is coming from, because this is something that it doesn't need Congress in order to for our government to provide this assistance. Really, it's coming from an executive order that just takes a stroke of the pen by President Biden and he can get it done. Now, I'm talking about student loan cancellation. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, and that's one of the most common questions I've been getting over the past week is on student loan cancellation. Do I qualify? How much will I get? All these things. So I want to address all your questions in today's video. So first, the White House honestly has been looking at different economic measures to try to provide assistance to the American people. Now, they have struggled to get certain things passed. They've tried to get things like the child tax credit payments extended. It didn't work. They tried to get additional stimulus checks. It didn't work. They tried to get paid family medical leave. It didn't work. So they finally settled on their best option, which is student debt cancellation. Now, this would actually provide about 41 million people with additional assistance. And the majority of those 41 million people would get the equivalent of around $400 a month as a result of their payments getting wiped away. Now, here's what I want to address, because this is what some people are thinking, is they're going to get $10,000. No, that's not the case. You're not going to get $10,000. What's going to happen is your student debt would be wiped away. You'd go from having up to $10,000 in student debt to now you'd be debt free, and you can do whatever you want. The government isn't going to give you $10,000 and say, hey, go and pay your student debt off. That's not what's going to happen. And I know that's where a lot of people are getting some misinformation, that there's a $10,000 check coming. That's not the case. So when, not if, but when the Biden administration cancels up to $10,000 in student loan debt, there will be a lot of winners and losers from this deal. Now, according to education advisors, they have said recently that they've been getting multiple calls, many emails from former students asking, hey, since I paid off my debt, am I going to be getting reimbursed for that $10,000 that I paid off? And I want to be very clear. The answer is no. The reason for this, according to experts, they say the reason for this is because that would act as a payment to the American people, and something like that would need to get passed through Congress. That's the problem. So yes, should people that have paid off their loans recently, should they get some form of relief and assistance? Well, some argue yes. Others argue no, because if you paid off your loans, chances are you had the money to do so. So that would be a no. But just keep that in mind. If you paid off your student loans, then you're not considered a winner in this deal. Okay? You'd be considered one of the ones that are kind of losing out because you already paid off your debt. Now, those that do have student debt, you are going to walk away without having to pay up to $10,000 in student debt. Again, this has not been signed yet. The expectation is it's coming very soon. But not only that, it's not that you will be walking away from up to $10,000 in student debt, but the big thing is you will not be hit with an additional income tax of up to $10,000 either, because Congress has already passed that provision. And this was back when they passed the American Rescue Plan back in March of 2021. So not only do you walk away from $10,000 in debt, but the IRS isn't going to come after you and say, hey, this was canceled on your behalf. You have to pay it. So good news there. Now, currently there's a massive, about $1.6 trillion in student loan debt here in the United States. And according to reports, about 33% of those borrowers would get 100% of their debt wiped away as a result of this $10,000 in forgiveness. That's pretty big. But what is interesting about these numbers is that the average associate's degree puts somebody back about $14,000. A bachelor's degree puts somebody back about $23,000. But what employment experts have said is that having an associate's degree doesn't give you that much of a pay raise. It's something, but it's not enough to quickly pay down this $14,000 in debt. So it's interesting that many are now coming forward and saying an associate's degree is almost not worth it. A bachelor's degree, yeah, it's more of a, it's worth a little bit more, but at the same time, until you start to get a, your master's and you start going up, that's where it really pays off. But the associates and bachelors, right now, almost every single person has them. At least that's what experts are saying. And that right now, you look at employers and they're like, well, yeah, you have a bachelor's, but you have no experience. Some are opting for experience now over degrees. So it's an interesting turn of events. But here's the big number, $321 billion. This is how much money would essentially be forgiven. Now, right now, it's because of this figure that Republicans are doing whatever they can to try and stop President Biden for forgiving student loan debt. And I read an article the other day, actually it's probably like last week, it doesn't matter, where multiple Senate aides were discussing the possibility of making anybody with debt forgiven, that they would have to take more of a finance class so that they don't get out of debt by getting assistance from the federal government and then they just fall right back into debt. And so I want to know your thoughts on that one. I think that's interesting. I always thought finance and business and stuff should be taught in schools, especially in high school, but it really isn't. So let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think that's a good idea? Or do you think, no, just pay off the debt and it will be fine? Let me know your answers down in the comment section below. And lastly, here's what's been happening. President Biden has been saying for a while, even before he was president, because this is what he campaigned on. He campaigned on, hey, vote for me and I'll forgive up to $10,000 in student debt. He also said $200 for people on Social Security. Nobody making less than $400,000 per year would pay a penny more in taxes. He's kind of gone with that. Social Security, you guys have been screwed, but student loans, this is coming up. Well, he's waited almost 2 years to do this. But why? That's one of the questions I get is, why is he waiting so long? Well, according to reports, it's because of a couple reasons. Number one, he's waited so long because he was trying to deal with the past 2 years, the issues with the virus. That's what he was trying to do. Now, he wants to do student loan debt, and he's wanted to do this for almost a year. The problem is his polling numbers have been abysmal, have been so bad that advisors have been telling him to wait. Wait until we get closer to the midterm elections. Let's see where we stand. And what we are hearing now is Democrats are hoping that if student loan debt is forgiven, this would actually give them a leg up to win more seats in both the House and the Senate. So we're going to see what happens. But here's the expectation. The expectation was the announcement was supposed to happen last weekend. It didn't happen because of the shooting, okay? The shooting down in Texas. So what we were told was that that announcement has been put off. So the announcement is going to come any day now. We don't know exactly when it's going to come. But as far as the cancellations, it wouldn't actually take effect until September. Keep that in mind, okay? Because all these things are kind of coming up. That if the student loan forgiveness is gets signed as an executive order, what we're going to see is, okay, it doesn't go into effect yet, so people are going to be discussing it for the next probably 2 months, 3 months. Then as of September, as soon as the payment pause is expiring, that's when this cancellation would take effect. And when it takes effect in September, according to reports, what we're going to see is this is going to be a huge win for Democrats. So that's what we're seeing at this time. But again, it's going to be about 41 million Americans that are going to get a lot of help. So if you're part of that, congratulations. If you're not, well, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. I'm not going to get anything from it. I don't have any student loan debt, but that's just me. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates again. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.